Thousands of people get on and off Metro Gold Line trains every weekday. What they see when they board and exit the train are carefully thought out works of art, commissioned by the Metro Gold Line Foothill Extension Construction Authority, the agency that built Phase 1 of the line between Los Angeles and Pasadena. Phase 1 offers 13 unique station environments, each providing insight into the distinct character and history of its surrounding community through the medium of public art.
I think art is important in a project like this because it really does help create that unique characteristic to each one of the station locations. People understand when they get to a place and it has its own different look and feel. There's like an opening door of curiosity for them to get out and experience what's around the station.
As planning moves forward with the Foothill Extension, an extension of the line from Pasadena to Montclair, art continues to play an integral role. From artist selection to artwork concepts, each Foothill Extension station is being carefully planned and designed to create a memorable experience for the rider. This episode will provide an in-depth look at the public art commissioned by the Construction Authority for the enhancement of stations along the Gold Line and its Foothill Extension. The Foothill Extension project is receiving $810 million from LA County's Measure R, a sales tax to relieve traffic congestion. That funding is enough to complete the segment from Pasadena to Azusa and partially fund the segment from Azusa to Montclair, extending the line 24 miles along the foothills of the San Gabriel Mountains.
We've adopted a metro policy which is 0.5% of the overall budget is attributed to public art in the stations. So with that as our policy, we actually created a station art design review committee with each city. They had a committee of about 5 members of the community and interviewed artists, selected an artist, and asked an artist to come together at the station and provide some artistic element into the station.
Artists were selected early in the process for the 12 Foothill Extension stations. Each corridor city selected their artist and helped develop artistic concepts which took the community's personality and history into consideration.
One of the jokes is that beach communities always want dolphins, and how many beach communities are there in Southern California? And everyone has dolphin art. It's like saying, I want air. Okay, you got air, but what about it is really unique? I think that's really the job of the juries on these public art projects, is to figure out this is what my city is exactly about.
The Construction Authority completed Phase 1 of the line in 2003 with 13 unique stations. Michael Several, a local researcher that completed a comprehensive study of Phase 1 art, recently took us on a tour.
When the project began in 1992, each of these stations were conceived to be unique stations, both in design and the public art. 3 stations were designated as landmark stations. These 3 stations received additional funds because they were seen as entry points to major tourist areas. The station that we're now at Memorial Park was seen as a gateway to Old Town. The artwork behind me is called The First Artist of Southern California, A Short History by John Valadez. His original concept was to hang panels on these columns, and there would be depictions of pictographs and petroglyphs of the indigenous people in the area of Southern California. And he got the inspiration to do this because he saw this station as a canyon. In fact, it's the only station on the Gold Line that's underground and it has that sense of a canyon. That is it for this station. Why don't we go to the other stations? Here comes the train right now. This is the Del Mar station. Why don't we get off here and take a look around? It's a very interesting one. The city of Pasadena made an agreement with Ira Yellen, who was a developer and who developed a multi-use project here. So there's 347 condominiums, there's retail space. Ira Yellen selected the artist, Reeves Nemi, and he designed the fences here. There's about 550 feet of fencing that he designed along here. And what he did is he incorporated imagery from the railroads in his fence. So you can see like gears and pistons you ended up having a $400,000 art installation because it's part of this much larger development project here. Next station that we're going to go to is Mission Street in South Pasadena. Why don't we go into the park here that is part of this station complex. The artwork behind me is called Astride Aside by Michael Stutz. Michael Stutz came to South Pasadena and he looked around at here on Mission Street and he felt this was like a Edward Hopper small town. And he created an artwork that he felt would represent or reflect the character of the people of South Pasadena. Here we have every man, common man, striding assertively ahead. Now this particular park got additional money from a number of sources. Some of this, I mean, we can see some of it here. There's a clock over there. There was a restoration of a water trough where the people of South Pasadena from the earliest times met and socialized. Why don't we go back to the platform now and catch the next train to the Southwest Museum station. All the elements of the artwork at this station are under the title Highland Park Gateway, and it was designed by Tony Sandoval. As we stand here right here, we can see some of the references to the environment. Along these pillars here are these fake or faux palm leaves. In the fencing, there's these curves, and we're going to see that elsewhere in the installation. That's a reference to the arroyo, which is several hundred yards to the east of us. Now, as you can see, the column is tilted, and the idea with that is that this is a river, or this is the arroyo going by here, this is water, and these benches are tilting and rocking. Now, one of the elements of this station, there are 3 columns. Each of these ionic columns are capped by these figures that Sandoval considered to be guardian angels of Highland Park. There's a column over here. This figure is pointing to the south, where Union Station is. This one is pointing to the Southwest Museum. And from here, over there by the Metro sign, is a 3rd column, topped by a figure, and it is pointing toward Pasadena, the end of the Phase 1 route of the Gold Line.
The Foothill Extension will extend the Gold Line 24 miles, adding 12 stations from Arcadia to Montclair. It will be completed in 2 segments. As with Phase 1 of the line, each corridor city has selected a different artist and style to give each station its own unique look.
The artists were selected in Phase 2 by an open process. Each city put together a station design and art review committee. Those committees were comprised of elected officials and residents of each city. Through the art process, we've really been able to engage the community in a very positive way. I think one of the most rewarding things about working on this project has always been that the communities have been, in general, very open to the artist concepts.
Camille Diaz was a member of the Design Advisory Committee that selected a station artist and art concept for the city of Irwindale.
The city of Irwindale really appreciated the fact that this agency wanted our involvement because it demonstrates their commitment to the region. Every single station, we hope, will represent that city, and the only way the Irwindale station can adequately and correctly represent the city of Irwindale is if you have the stakeholders here participate in that process. 28 artists submitted interest in participating as a station artist, and we narrowed that down to 3 and ultimately selected Robin Brailsford.
We took each one of the finalists together as a group, and the members who could make it from the Station Art and Design Review Committee to the site. We did a site review, and we also provided them with a community profile, which was a way that the city could tell the artists about sort of the visual aesthetic values of their city. And the profile included information on the general population, the history of the city, the architectural references.
And with the Station Art Design Review Committee and the artists, they came in and they developed a motif for each of the station that made it unique for each of the individual cities. In some of the stations, they've changed the paver material, they've added sculpture, they've had the benches or any of the seating. They had it customized to reflect something unique aspect of each of the cities.
Although the artists have been selected for all 12 Foothill Extension stations, art concepts are most complete for the segment from Pasadena to Azusa, which broke ground in June 2010 and will be completed in late 2014.
So for the Arcadia station, the artist that was selected, Michael Davis, developed a beautiful vertical element to the station, a combination of weather vanes that had information about horses and the sort of natural environment that exists there in the Arboretum. For the Monrovia station, the artist Chari Tong was selected, and her work really deals with the arts and crafts movement and Botchelder tile and its prevalence within homes in the San Gabriel Valley, as well as a reference to water and landscape as expressed by the local foothills of Monrovia. In Duarte, the artist team that was selected are Andrea Michaelbust and Stanton Sears, a husband and wife team from the Midwest. And their concept really came out of research they did about the ranch period in Duarte and the natural environment and the wash. And so a lot of their imagery is based on geographical ideas of topography and flora and fauna from the wash. And for the Irwindale station, the artist Robin Brailsford developed a concept that really had to do with the natural materials, references to aggregate and the quarry, and really this concept of the founders being pivotal in the development of the city, because Irwindale, as it is today, many of the descendants of the original founders still live and work in the city. The artist selected for Azusa Alameda was Jose Antonio Aguirre, a local artist that lives in Pasadena, has done a lot of public art, and he actually had a combination of ideas of adding sort of that Spanish colonial sensibility to the station and also incorporating a design motif that was reminiscent of a beautiful old sort of Spanish colonial sign that existed in Azusa at the original founding of the city. The Azusa Citrus Station was Lynn Goodpasture, and she really developed concepts that were related to the natural environment. I think most prominent in her design concept was the existence of these beautiful fan palms, which are the only natural indigenous palm to California. And she incorporated those into her canopy structure. And then all of her tile benches are based around specific plant materials that were developed by the Monrovia Nursery there at that site.